14:30 hours, Ukrainian operators launched what should have been routine drone strike on Russian convoy, crossing damaged bridge-perfect choke point.
1-50-2mm howitzer in tow. Easy target, right?
Except within minutes, the drone wasn't hunting anymore. It was being hunted by 3 layers of Russian air defense. Tracked by electronic warfare systems, intercepted by enemy drone in 280 km/h aerial dogfight, and shot at by soldiers with AKs and shotguns. And what happened next showcases the most intense FPV drone combat of the entire war. The Shark D reconnaissance drone was circling above that damaged bridge when operators spotted the Russian convoy moving at 15 km/h. But here's the problem. Every time that drone transmitted video back, it was basically screaming, "Here I am," to the electromagnetic spectrum, and the Russians had something listening. Between the Ukrainian strike team 4 kilometers away and that target sat 3 layers of Russian defenses that had already stopped over 30 Ukrainian drones. And the system you see here, the Zoopark 1 counter-battery radar, wasn't originally built hunting drones. It was designed tracking artillery shells in flight, figuring out where they came from, and raining steel on those coordinates. But Russians got clever, realizing drone control signals are just radio waves, and radio waves can be tracked. Here's how it works. Zoopark detects your signal and takes a bearing. Basically draws a line from the radar to where you're transmitting from, and one line doesn't tell them much. But get multiple bearings from different positions, and those lines cross at exactly 1 point your position, and 3 minutes later, artillery rounds are landing on your head. The Ukrainian operators knew the statistics were brutal. Transmit from the same spot for more than 5 minutes and there's a 40% chance you not transmitting again ever. Because the Russians even had a name for it. Counter-reconnaissance by fire, no visual confirmation needed, just detect, calculate, and devastate. So these operators have gotten smart, really smart. Frequency hopping across 128 channels every single second, never staying on one frequency long enough for Zoo. Park to lock on, transmitting in bursts of 0.3 seconds of data, then silence for 30 seconds. Just enough maintaining control, but not long enough for radar to find them. But then things got worse when thermal sensors picked up a Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone approaching from the north, meaning Russians suspected operators were nearby and launched their own hunter. That Orlan's thermal camera could spot human body heat from 2 kilometers away. So the Ukrainian team had to choose, keep eyes on target or hide under thermal blankets and go blind. They chose to hide, but before they did, they needed alerting the strike team 4 kilometers away, and standard procedure would be direct radio handoff transmitting coordinates. Vectors timing, but that would mean both teams transmitting at once, creating double the electromagnetic signature. Might as well paint targets on both positions. Instead, they did something ingenious. The Shark dropped what they call a digital breadcrumb. One tiny encrypted packet on 433 MHz, a frequency Russians weren't monitoring for drone control. GPS coordinates, convoy speed, wind conditions, optimal attack vector, everything the strike team needed, total transmission time 0.3 seconds. Too brief to triangulate, too encrypted to decode, on the wrong frequency to even notice. The strike team got the packet and the convoy was halfway to bridge, moving at walking speed through twisted metal and broken concrete with maybe 10 minutes before it cleared the choke point. The FPV operator powered up his drone at 14:45. 7-inch carbon fiber frame, 2 kilogram shaped charge, battery showing 16.8 volts. Enough juice for 7 minutes of flight, and the target was only 4 minutes away. Should be easy, right? Wrong, because Russians had learned something important about drone warfare. You don't need to shoot them down. You just need cutting the connection between pilot and drone. No connection, no control drone crashes or flies home, mission failed. The first 2 kilometers were smooth with Ukrainian drones skimming along at 3 meters altitude, using every tree line and demolished building for cover. Video feed coming through crystal clear at 1080p 60 frames per second. Then at exactly 2 kilometers from target, the image started breaking up static lines across screen. Frame rate dropping from 60 to 30 to 15. The Russian Repellent 1 mobile jammer had just woken up. The jammer is basically a microwave oven with the door open, except instead of heating leftovers, it's cooking every drone frequency within 500 meters. 400 watts of pure electromagnetic chaos. The signal at 2 kilometers was still 25 watts per square meter, but the drone's transmitter only 25 milliwatts. That's like trying to whisper in a hurricane. The operator switched frequencies, dropping down to 433 MHz, outside normal jamming bands, and some signal came back grainy, delayed. But functional video quality now looked like flip phone from 2005 at 10 frames per second, but it was something.
At 1.5 kilometers, even that backup frequency started dying because Russians weren't using just one jammer, they had layers.
Jammers on vehicles, portable jammers in trenches every 200 meters and somewhere behind their lines. Probably a Pole 21 area denial system. 3 different systems overlapping coverage, different frequencies, an electronic black hole. But the drone had an AI module trained on 10,000 hours of combat footage that could recognize vehicles, lock onto them, and guide itself to impact. But it needed seeing the target clearly for at least 2 seconds to lock on, with lock range only 400 meters. The drone had to fly another 1,000 meters through that electronic storm blind just to get a chance at acquiring target. The operator did the math. Last known position plus convoy speed times elapsed time equals the truck should be right at bridge center. So he switched to dead reckoning, no video, just instrument data. Compass bearing 073 degrees, altitude 3 meters, speed 45 kilometers per hour, slower to save battery while flying blind. Then at 3.2 kilometers, something miraculous happened. For exactly 1 frame 1/60th of a second, the video flickered back, showing the bridge maybe 800 meters away, and the truck exactly where math said it should be, grinding over twisted beam. Then static returned, but that 1 frame was enough. The operator knew he was on track. At 3 kilometers, the video suddenly came back crystal clear for a few seconds at a time because the jamming had a gap. Maybe the repellent one was rotating its antenna array, maybe interference from bridge's metal structure. Didn't matter. What mattered was that the operators saw in those 2 seconds a Russian interceptor drone 20 meters up, already in a dive like a falcon after a pigeon. Combined closing speed of 280 kilometers per hour, that's 78 meters every second, at 300 meters separation impact in less than 4 seconds. The Ukrainian operator had that long to figure something out or lose everything. The Russian interceptor had another advantage. No warhead, while the Ukrainian drone was hauling 2 kilograms of shaped charge in a dogfight that less like boxing with a backpack. Full of rocks, because every maneuver costs more energy, takes longer to execute, saps more battery. The Ukrainian FPV broke hard left with maximum bank angle. The frame groaning under 5 Gs of force, motors screaming at different speeds, left side at 40%, right side at maximum. The turn radius at 140 kilometers per hour was about 89 meters, and the Russian interceptor overshot, had to circle back for another pass. Now it became energy management. Every aggressive maneuver cost battery life with hard turns, draining power at triple the normal rate, and the Ukrainian drone's voltage was already dropping from 15.2 to 14.8 in just 10 seconds of evasive action. The Russian operator changed tactics, climbing higher, because more altitude meant more potential energy for diving again, using gravity to boost speed beyond motors maximum. But the Ukrainian drone couldn't match that climb, too heavy, battery already stressed. So the Ukrainian operator did something unexpected. He cut throttle completely, and the drone dropped like a stone, falling from 15 meters to 3 meters in 2 seconds. The Russian interceptor, committed to its dive, screamed through empty air where target should have been. But cutting throttle has consequences, because with no power to props, the drone becomes a falling brick. The Ukrainian FPV was in freefall for those 2 seconds, losing all control. Authority and the operator had to power back carefully. Too much throttle. Too fast and drone would flip from sudden torque. Too little and it wouldn't arrest the fall in time. He applied 30% throttle, enough to stop descent at 3 meters altitude, while the drone wobbled violently as flight controller fought to regain stability. The Russian interceptor pulled out of its dive, reducing speed in the climb, and now both drones were in same energy state. Low altitude, moderate speed, batteries draining. It became a turning fight, 2 drones circling each other like boxers looking for an opening. The Russian interceptor, carrying no warhead, had better power-to-weight ratio, accelerating faster, climbing quicker, stopping shorter, and in the circling fight, it could change direction more aggressively, pulling 6 Gs versus 4.5 before flight controller hit its limits. The Ukrainian operator had one move left, a vertical reversal. Full throttle straight up. The drone climbed at 10 meters per second, trading all forward speed for altitude, and the Russian interceptor tried to follow but didn't expect the next part. At the top of the climb, the Ukrainian drone was nearly stationary, hanging in air for just a moment when the operator cut throttle again and applied full yaw. The drone spun 180 degrees in less than a second, nose now pointing straight down at the climbing Russian interceptor for head-on collision. The Russian operator committed to the impact because this was his mission. But at the last second, the Ukrainian operator rolled hard right while maintaining dive. And the Russian interceptor committed to collision course didn't adjust fast enough passing through empty air just meters from where Ukrainian drone had been. The whole engagement took 18 seconds, with Ukrainian drone using 30% of its battery just staying alive. Voltage at 14.5 volts, only 8% capacity remaining. At 14:49, the Ukrainian FPV cleared the area and faced the oldest defense in warfare, humans with guns who knew exactly where to look. The rifleman reacted first with his AK-74 firing short bursts, leading the drone like duck hunter leads target. And one round connected the 5.45mm bullet. Punched through carbon fiber frame and severe power leads to rear left motor. Instantly, the drone lurched sideways as flight controller tried compensating. 3 motors instead of 4 meant 25% less thrust. At 35 meters, the first shotgunner was ready with Saiga 12, loaded with buckshot 65. Lead pellets spreading into 15-meter wide cloud. The shotgun boomed, and 2 pellets hit. One destroyed right front motor completely. Another punched battery casing with voltage immediately dropping from 14.5 to 13.8 to 13.2 in 2 seconds. Now the drone was on its last leg with 2 motors left out of 4 speed down to 80 kilometers per hour. Altitude dropping, the AI trying to maintain target lock on red outline of truck flickering as algorithm struggled with distorted input. 10 meters out, the AI made its final calculation adjusting for impact while battery voltage dropped below minimum threshold at 12.8 volts. Thrust at 40% and falling. The magnetic proximity sensor armed itself, and impact came at 14:49 hours and 47 seconds. The drone hit at just 62 kilometers per hour, much slower than optimal but enough the copper jet punched straight through ammunition. Storage and 8 152mm artillery shells cooked off simultaneously. The explosion lifted the truck 2 meters up. The bridge deck, already damaged, cracked under overpressure. And the truck tipped sideways, sliding off the broken section truck. Artillery piece. Everything tumbled into the river below. The Shark D reconnaissance drone, still circling at altitude, recorded everything in high definition. Russian soldiers staring at their destroyed crossing. Smoke climbing 200 meters into the sky. And the nearest alternate bridge was 15 kilometers away. This is the new reality of warfare where every moment is watched. And somewhere there, as always, an operator with a 7-inch drone waiting for their moment. This operation showcased the brutal evolution of drone combat. Electronic warfare forcing operators into burst transmissions and frequency hopping. AI-guided targeting compensating for jamming blackouts. Physics-defying aerial dogfights at combined speeds of 280 kilometers per hour. And terminal attacks through direct fire that would have been impossible just 5 years ago. The Ukrainian drone survived 3 complete defense layers, Zoo-Park counter-battery radar. Trying to triangulate the operators, Repellent 1 jammers pumping 400 watts of electromagnetic chaos, Russian interceptor drone in 18-second dogfight, and AK-74s plus shotguns in the final 50 meters using a combination of tactical innovation, AI assistance, and operator skill that represents the cutting edge of modern warfare. If this tactical breakdown of drone combat fascinated you, smash subscribe for more real military operations analysis. Comment which aspect impressed you most: the frequency hopping stealth, the drone versus drone dogfight, or the AI-guided final attack through jamming. Remember, this isn't science fiction. This is happening right now on battlefields where 7-inch carbon fiber drones carrying 2-kilogram warheads are rewriting the rules of combat. And the operators controlling them are winning or losing based on split-second decisions made while invisible enemies hunt them through the electromagnetic spectrum.